everybody. Welcome to Free to Heal. And so we're going to have Diana check in and she's going to introduce our topic.
Hello, everybody. I had a great day. I was running a little late because I had to get off the Texas that we were going back and forth with this morning because I was at work. So the topic I want to talk about today is expectations that people put on themselves when they get closer to the holidays, and they make themselves sick. They make themselves go broke. They get a misunderstanding of what the holidays is all about. And they make themselves go broke by doing things like buying gifts that you know you cannot afford, or putting expectation on things that you know you cannot do. And that puts a lot of strain on your mind, your body, and your soul.
And so for me, I did a whole, we talked about expectations before. And any of you guys that have come home, you may remember one of the first things I talked to you guys about is not trying to live up to expectations that everybody else puts on you. And to be careful about which expectations you set for yourself, because when people, particularly people who have been incarcerated, when they come home, when they're gone, the legend of who they are grows. If they was the best dude, if they was a good dude, they was the best dude that ever walked the planet, and we can't wait till he come home so things can get better. If he was horrible, he was the worst dude, and we need him to come home so things can get corrected around here because these people is out of control. It goes from one extreme to the other. And what happens is that there's as we always say this a million times, the person that went into prison is not the person that comes out of prison. Period. No, I don't care. That's not true. It is true. I don't care. Even if it's nothing more than your ass is old. Exactly. Okay. If you done aged, if nothing else, the person that went in is not the person that comes out. I don't care how you cut it.
I know the assholes that went in and they were assholes when they came out.
Yeah, but again. Yeah, but even if nothing else, they're older, okay? Mm-hmm. And you can't be the person that you were in prison, because that's a universe that only exists there. Mm-hmm. It does not exist. People talking about, well, in there we do this, in there, but guess what? You're not in there no more. So that's what people say. So then it becomes a matter of making sure that you're not trying to live up to the expectations that other people put on you for what you should be doing with your life now that you're home. Because what happens is that you, first of all, as human beings, we're always going to disappoint somebody because we have on a body. We're human. No matter how big or small, we're always going to disappoint somebody. But the issue becomes whether or not, particularly around the holidays, especially if you were a parent, parents go into debt and all sorts of things. Families go into stressing about, well, we're having the family over, and my mother-in-law, she complains about everything in my house, and she wants to run everything. And one friend, well, we always have to go to my sister-in-law's house, and I don't want to do that. And okay.
Don't sound like my spaghetti. Ooh,
so they don't like your spaghetti?
They don't be liking the spaghetti. They don't like the macaroni and cheese.
Who making the tater salad?
Mm-hmm. That's what they call
it. Because who making the potato salad become a thing y'all don't play with people with potato salad. Okay? Do not play with that. Whoever's making the potato, and it better not be, and the macaroni and cheese too. That's two things y'all don't play with, right?
And the collard greens. Don't bring them glory greens to nobody's house.
Oh, not out the can?
Don't bring them to nobody's house.
Don't you dare.
Don't bring them to nobody's house.
Okay, we have to cut you with the claws, okay? So
you bring them to my house, I'll shoot.
Well, that's because he don't eat vegetables, period. So you can't bring no vegetables in his house. It don't matter what it is, whether it's fresh or otherwise. If I sat here and snapped green beans and made it for him, he wouldn't eat them. But beside the point. But again, so the question for us tonight and the topic tonight is, what kind of expectations do we set? And then I want us to really talk about what you are responsible for and what you're not responsible for.
Right.
We're not responsible for everybody else's expectation. We're not responsible for how they respond to our choices. Right. Those are things that people put on themselves. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to open up the floor and let's talk about it. Somebody talk to me. Yes, ma'am. Can you do that between chicken bites? Because I saw her back there, look like she's picking her teeth. I don't know whether she's picking her teeth or that was, I don't know. I just want to say. Oh, now she want to go to sleep.
Just like black
Look at she doing all this, Michael. She all from here. What? Okay, well, go ahead.
So when I came to prison in '96, I was talking to one of my friends. I had left commissary and she lived in the CD unit, and I stopped there to talk to her. And she said, I had already had a visit with my son. He was 5 at the time. And she said to the girl that sat down, "You should see her son. He's so cute." And she said, "Oh, my kids are cute too." And I said, "You got pictures?" So she went in the unit and got a picture. And she had like 6 kids, 5 kids or something. And so we were talking, and she said, "My sister's here." And this was in July. She said, "My sister's here. We go home in December, but we won't have anything to give our children." And I said, "And that's the problem. It's us, the reason we're here, because we are the ones who have said they need the Barbie car, they need the Jeep, they need all the latest games, when all they need is to be able to walk into the next room and their mama is in there waiting to hug them."
That's right. That's right. And a lot of people put those. It's what you know what they say. They say, "I want my kids to have what I didn't have."
Yeah.
What is that?
Whatever that is. There's a whole lot of things we didn't have, right? We didn't have cell phones. They didn't even exist. So I want them to have that. But guess what? The cell phones also bring with them the internet. They bring social media.
To what expense, though?
And at what cost?
What expense going to do that?
And at what cost? And for 7, 8-year-olds, I mean, they buying 8-year-olds iPhones. Okay, and
All parents want their kids to have better than they had it when they were kids. Come on.
right, but what happens is that what it is that we put expectations, which is again the conversation, on ourselves to have something that too much, to do too much for them, that they don't necessarily need, because what they really need is they need love. They need guidance. They need attention. Those are the things that they're going to need and that they want more than anything else, above and beyond material things.
You can't show kids that.
Yes, you can. I'm gonna share this with you. I'm gonna share this with you guys. Okay. I have never ever celebrated Christmas as an adult. My son has never had Christmas in my home.
That's good. You're
Never. Because I'm a what?
a grouch.
I'm a grouch.
No.
Whatever, maybe. But I can tell you this. Okay, but let me ask you this about my son. Do he seem normal to you? He seemed like he a healthy, kind of cool dude to you?
I like your son.
Oh, okay. So there you have it. Okay. So him not having Christmas didn't make him unlikable by Pike.
But the thing about it is this, and this is what I tell most people. Even though my family's maiden name is Joneses, I don't keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
I believe I'm a Muslim, and I believe in the ways of the Muslim.
Okay.
We give gifts all during the year, because who's to say you gonna make it to see Christmas?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So why wait to give gifts at Christmas time when you give them all year round?
Mm-hmm.
Because that would make that child an all-around person. You see what I'm saying? Where they're not just waiting on December to get the big gift.
Right.
All my grandkids, they get Target cards. All of them like Target. So I go buy $25 Targets, and I give them to them once a month. Here's y'all $25 Target.
Right.
Because they have to produce grades. They have to produce good grades. They have to produce, show me a hobby that they're interested in that's positive other than a cell phone. You know, so when you start dealing with children or family members like that, then you get away from the stigma. Like I work every Christmas, so I don't have to worry about going to no family house, nothing like that. I work Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. I don't celebrate, but
Humbug.
the expectations that we put on ourselves is us putting it on ourselves.
Right.
The family don't care about it, as long as you come around, because remember, the last 15, 20, 26, 30 Christmases,
You were gone.
You were gone. You weren't here. You were not here. And guess what? They missed you. They missed you, right? So the most important thing is to be there. I was telling Diane when she brought it up to me how if we think about even the times when we had Christmas as a kid, my mom celebrated Christmas and everything. What we usually remember is the family gatherings, the people being together, like me fighting and crying to go around the corner to another family's house where all the kids came. They had a million cousins, and we would sleep on the floor. All we needed was a spot on the floor. We'd be stepping over people and all of that. Just that's what I remember. I cannot tell you what gifts I got for Christmas on any particular Christmas. And I know my mother broke her back to make sure that we all had Christmas gifts. So now I know, like my son, I did not celebrate Christmas. So I told my mom and them, I said, look, you guys can do whatever you want to do for him for Christmas. I'm not going to take that from you guys. But what you cannot do is tell him Santa Claus did nothing. That's what I would not allow that. But my thing was, I didn't want them to not have their celebration. But for me, his big time of the year was his birthday.
Right, that's your day.
That was right, exactly. That's your day, right? That's not everybody else's day. And so I always made that, and every year I can remember thinking, especially as a young parent, because I had my son at 20 years old. So I was a young mother, and I'm trying to build a career and trying to, earn money. And that's probably Tony, y'all. Y'all see the phone? Y'all hear it? It's over there. Am I sitting on it? That's Tony. I'm sorry, you guys.
Is she outside?
Tony, are you outside? Okay, somebody they're coming. Okay, bye. Apologize, you guys. So what I would do, every year, his birthday was the big thing. And that way, we celebrated him every year. And I made sure that was it. But my mom, like I said, I can remember my mother going into debt, people going to credit card debt. And now you can't write off credit card debt the way that they used to be able to write credit card debt off. So now once you get in it, you're stuck with it. Okay. And that has an impact on the family moving forward. So, and I really want us to think about the fact that,
but they're missing the whole concept of what
right.
the holiday is.
Really is supposed to be.
It's all about family. That's all it's about. All these gifts y'all trying to buy, all these name brand shoes and all these name brand items you're trying to buy, big ticket items, items you're trying to buy, and then on January 1st, rent is due. Right. You need your rent.
Yeah, because guess what? With all those toys and all those things you have, if you don't have a roof over your head, it don't matter. It don't matter. Because we're storage. Or on the sidewalk when they evict you and put your stuff out on the sidewalk. Right. So again, but this is the part that kills me, is something you said earlier, is these are expectations we put on ourselves and then blame it on the kids. The kids are a good excuse. My kids ain't gonna do without. My kids gotta have what everybody else gotta have. No, they don't. No, they don't. What they need is you as a parent to be a parent.
Guiding them.
They need guidance. They need to know how to stand on their own 2 feet. They need to know how to be responsible adults. They need to know how to be kind.
I wanted to ask you.
Come on up closer, Roberta. Come on up.
What is it? Because when because I was, I want to say a productive citizen. I was doing normal stuff that I wanted to do more. No, that was my time. I could, instead of people doing for me, I could do for others, and maybe I put an expectation on myself.
Yes.
And now I feel like every year they expect. That was that 1 year. Now I don't want to do something.
Okay, that was then, and this is now, right? And so again, but see, the expectation was established because you wanted to give back.
You did it.
Right. I did that, and you did that, right? So now you have to but guess what? You have every right to say to them, I can't do that this year.
You do.
Or don't expect that from me every year. I did that then, and I'm not doing that every year, right? But it's up to you to say to them, I don't want to do that anymore. Or even I can't do it anymore.
But I'm happy to be able to do it
And that makes
Right.
like when you do put expectations on yourself and you do exceed them, feel good about them. But don't put them on yourself when you know you cannot achieve all the expectations you put on yourself.
My mother wouldn't put nothing on credit. If she couldn't pay for it, they ain't getting it.
Uh-huh.
Right. That's true.
And that is one fiscally responsible way. That's one way to be financially responsible.
Make yourself responsible. If I can't buy it, I don't need it.
Exactly. And
That's what she would say.
and guess what? And I was gonna say he turned out all right, but I don't know.
Yeah, no.
But look, you know, you're okay. That didn't make you feel any less loved by your parent, by your mom, because she didn't do that.
But you did turn out okay. You didn't make bad choices.
Right.
Okay, that's the difference.
Yes, you did.
You did turn out okay.
Yeah, but it took a long time.
No, you just made the choices you made. That's the first step. You made the choices. So that that's the way you turned out. Those are choices you had made at the time.
Yeah.
You still turned out okay.
Oh, you was gonna say something about your mom?
My mom loved me, and I know she loved me, but I didn't hear that. I think in her whole lifetime, she might have told me that twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I might have kissed her on the cheek or something, maybe half a dozen times, you know, during my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But I know when I got out this time, I think that's why I'm always saying that you know, I love you,
Uh-huh.
because I never heard it when I was little,
Mm-hmm.
and I want people to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be the same. You know, like I had a aunt and uncle, and her kids was hugging on them and kissing on them all the time, and me and Joyce used to look at them and say, "Man, that must be really nice," you know.
Uh-huh.
But our family, we didn't do that shit. And Janet, you know, my older sister, if I'm talking to her on the phone and at the end of it, what I don't do too often, I'll say I love you. She said, "Yeah, me too." You know,
because it's not normal for her. It doesn't come. It doesn't flow easy for her. It doesn't come natural. Yes.
Huggy kissy.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't mean mama didn't love me as much as any other mother.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And what you'll probably find is that it didn't happen to her either. So she couldn't pass on what she didn't have. Right. Because but the thing of it is what I like about what you said is that you're doing better because you know better. Right. So in other words, you want people to hear that from you because it would have been nice for you to hear it. So you give what you would have.
I feel that too.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not phony.
No.
If I say I love you, there's nothing phony about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I do.
Right. And that's a wonderful thing. Hi.
That's chicken salad.
Okay. So I wanna ask anybody else any more experiences with expectations, particularly when you came home or even as kids, or that you might have had as it related to Tony. Our topic tonight is expectations that people put on themselves or that other people have, particularly around the holidays. And no, she went, what happened?
Young lady today, and breaking up in a relationship, and now the guys are being alone for the holidays, and I'm like, how are you alone? You got a child, you got your family. Now's the time to reinvest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You leave in a turbulent relationship. He went back to his old girlfriend. I said, tell him, welcome. Go ahead, move on.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 20 years on you, so I can tell you some things that you yourself haven't yet witnessed. But
they don't want to believe us.
But you don't. Some things you just have to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
And I say it all the time, and I feel like I say it in a broken record. It's an individual sport.
Mm-hmm.
And some things you just have to recognize and realize for yourself, but some things you have to learn how to take advice, and you are not alone. You know, I told her
you have the ability to invest in the company and do some volunteer work and do some what is your I had to pull out her passions and go back to your writing, go back to do some things and let that man go. I said, I have an ism. I never will sit at the table when love is no longer being served. Now that you know that love, she was like, well, I feel stupid. Okay, was you stupid because you took the appetizer, or you want me stupid because now you taste the meat? That was what satisfied you. You are no longer stupid. You have the ability to do something with that information that you just realized. He sold you a wet dream and you found out it was clay.
Right.
Move on. It's
That's
not
right.
easier said than done, but do it for your own sake. If this is a toxic relationship, you have a daughter, you teaching your daughter how to put up with a toxic man. If this is a toxic relationship and you have a son, you are teaching your son how to be toxic.
Absolutely. And I want to stop you right there and say this too, and also to put up with a toxic situation, because men wind up in toxic relationships just as well as women do. Men can be abused just as well as women can, and just because it's not necessarily physical doesn't mean that the abuse doesn't take place. And the reality is that they have to make the same choices.
About that abuse.
I know about it.
You can't get to me with that sucker, so you can keep your
I'll get it done.
He really is playing. He itching for it. We got a new one, y'all. He itching for it. Okay, and he think I can't get over there to that side of the room. He is mistaken.
Yeah.
But men are equally as subjected to toxicity as women are, and I don't want anybody to think that it's just going in one direction.
No.
And the response needs to be the same. If you find yourself in a situation with a woman, and one of the things I say is I always encourage my son to listen to a woman and in her conversation in the first few months about how she relates to other people. If she's always in drama with her family or the people at work or friends, and there's always some conflict everywhere she goes, in the store, watch how she treats the people. If you take her to dinner, how she treats the wait staff. All of those things are indications on how she intends to treat you.
Exactly.
Pay attention to that.
Family is the way she gonna treat you in a relationship.
Say that again.
The way she interacts with her family, the closest to her, is the way she gonna interact. And if you listen to them, they would tell you about their last 2 to 3, 4 relationships, because that's what they gonna want to vent about.
Right. Which I strongly advise against. Don't be telling people about your past relationships. That the new person is not the place to go and dump about your old relationship.
Well, they do it, but
they do.
A toxic relationship, and I'm gonna tell you, brother, the easiest thing in the world to do is LA courthouse, First and Hill, and get you a restraining order. I got one against a woman that wrecked my truck just because she wanted to be a family. Me and her got a 28-year-old son together. Just because she wanted to be a family, and I didn't want the abuse that she was given, I told her, no more. I'm done. Went to work, came on my way to work. She ran into the side of my truck. I had to have it fixed, but I went down there on First Hill and got me a restraining order. Don't cost you a dime. Just go get you one, because that's what's gonna keep. The separation between prison and the cemetery, because they don't stop. It gets worse, 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 and worse. There's no sense in the word worser, but worse, worse, worse.
It get worse. It get worse, and it does, for real. Because people don't stop. Usually, that person is suffering some form of narcissism,
right?
And that toxicity that comes along with that causes them to think that they're entitled to your time, your attention, whatever that is, right? They think that they're entitled, and they're not entitled. And again, they expect you to allow them to continue to do all of these things, no matter whether you're enjoying it or not. But you need to be at their beck and call, and you need to like, you know. So there's a again, those expectations of what I think I should have versus what you think I should have, and what I need to be paying attention to is what I know I need. I need to understand, but the first person I need to pay attention to is me, because I can't express to you what I need or what I want if I don't even know who I am. I haven't even met myself. Sure, you say it all the time. When you come home, find out who you are, right? Get to know who you are so that you can then proceed to be able to tell somebody else what they need or what you want, because you can't even do that if you don't know who you are. And coming home from prison, there's a period of time where you need to figure out what that's going to look like. What are your priorities? What is it that you want to do? Your needs and all of those things, and not let somebody put on you expectations for what they need. And listen, especially parents that come home, there's a huge desire to be what their children need them to be.
Or want them to be,
right? There's a huge desire, right? But is there the capacity? Do they actually have the capacity to be that to their children?
You know what?
Go ahead.
Coming home and being like my age is a good thing. Because, you know, I'm not looking for nothing. You know, I talk all that shit and all that, but in real life, I'm just happy. You know, I know I'm not going to have probably a relationship with anybody. You know, I can be friends, but I'm too old to, as far as I'm concerned, to get into a relationship. You know, and I'm happy with that. I already, you know, have set in my mind that, you know,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. You know, I'm set in my ways, and
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, we know that.
Yeah. Yes, that's for sure.
They get mad because I say what I think. That's what they get mad about.
No. Let me tell you what I'm mad about. He don't eat vegetables, okay? And he don't drink water. That's what I'm mad about, okay? That's what I'm mad about, okay? That's it. That's the only thing I'm fussing about. Yes, ma'am.
So when you were saying that when the parents come home, and so the expectation is, oh my God, I'm home, my kids. Guess what? Your kids don't know you either. You don't know your kids because they're grown.
Yeah.
So you have to, I had to get there. When I came home, I left when my son was 4. He was 21 when I came home. First thing when I sat next to him was I tried to clean his ears. And he was like, what are you doing? I said, I'm cleaning your ears. I always cleaned your ears. So I had to separate the time that he's still 4 years old for me. And now I had to understand, this is a grown man with mustache and a beard and stuff. And guess what? I don't know this guy. I don't know him, and I had to get to know him. My first boyfriend said to me, oh, you got a lot to make up. I can't make up anything.
None of it. None of it.
When he fell and cut his knee through the glass, I can't do anything to be
No.
there when he needed me. And so now I just take my relationship where it is. And Noreen, I'm going to repeat what I said to you that time, that you were like, wow. I said to him one time, I hadn't talked to him for a week, and I called and I said, Nicholas, I said, why didn't you call me? He said, because I knew you were going to call. I said, but you could have called me. He said, do you realize how many years I waited every day for you and my dad to call me? And that's what. So he's not, and you said he wasn't even used to calling.
He knew, it never occurred to him to call you because he never had that as an option.
Yeah.
He couldn't pick up the phone and call you in prison.
He wanted to.
When he wanted to. So it's not even something that was just an automatic thought for him. Oh, let me call my mom. It wasn't second nature to him.
Still not used to it.
Really? Oh boy. We all up in it. We up in it. Wow. Wow. Wow.
It's
I'm still not used to it.
Really?
And
how long has your mom been home?
my mother been sober 25 years.
Wow.
Maybe 26. Maybe maybe somewhere in the orders of 26, 27. I mean, I don't even know, but no, it's while she was gone, or while she was her addiction in prison, through all of those things, I was trying to figure out how not to be like that, and having build this super glued bond with my daughter because of the struggles that I had, and knowing my grandmother was getting older, my grandmother probably wasn't going to be here much longer. That was my opportunity every day to make my relationship with my daughter stronger. And what was created was this big disconnection
With your
between me and
mom.
my mom. And then my mom feeling like she's outside the she shed looking in at me and my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And I won't say that it was jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
I will say it was probably, no, it was jealousy from me and my grandmother, for my mom. But me and my daughter and my mom have they have a great relationship, for the most part. But I saw sadness in my mother.
That she missed out. It was something that she would have liked to have had that wasn't available to her, and now the time is gone and she can't make that up.
Right. And I've explained to her hundreds of times in the past about trying to, do something for me to make up. And I go back to that, the butterfly effect, and me writing my mother a letter one Christmas, 4 pages, breaking things down to tell her, if you had the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the dog and the cat, I might have been the one that would have been on drugs. You might have lost both of your children. It might have been even worse. We got to accept what we have and move forward from that particular day. Right. There is no way for you to make up on that time. Don't worry about it. You've survived it and I've survived it, no matter, I guess, how scarred we are, because our scars are healing. Sure. We have to move forward. We have to pick up from day one. When you say, blah, blah, she had to let me get to a point, but it's still a struggle. It's every day I call my daughter. It's every day when I leave the house, I'm checking on my son. But it's not every day that I connect with my mother, or I'm saying, I haven't talked to my mother today, or let me connect with my mother. And we have so much of a better relationship today than we had before. But it's so subconscious.
Right. What hurt me the most was because I was inside that I lost my mom, and it's always ached me in the heart that I wasn't around to help and do things. And, I wasn't a good son, but she still loved the shit out of me. Yeah.
She's supposed to.
Yeah. Right. But that 2 weeks after my mom passed away, my cellie didn't know to shit or go blind, because I told him, I said, dude, you mess with me one little bit in this cell, I said, I'll end your life. Yeah. I said, don't mess with me until I get over this.
Yeah, because it's.
But I'm a mother of a son that's in the penitentiary. We don't stop loving you or respecting you or still appreciating you as our son. We never feel like that.
But my mom is always. I mean, I've been in jail all my life. You know what I mean? It's like from the time I was 11. That's the only thing she ever known. That's why she used to tell me, at least I know where the hell you at, But I've been incarcerated since I was 11 till I pretty much got out this time.
But you've been her son.
Yeah, but she always gonna be her son.
But I'm saying she always wrote me. She always,
Just because you in there, that don't mean you're not my son. That don't mean I don't love you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that.
I mean, she never said I love you in a letter or anything, but she wrote it. I knew I was going to get a letter once a month. And it was something I, always look forward to.
Mhm.
But when she passed on, and I felt like a piece of shit because I wasn't around.
Right.
Joyce was, Janet was, but I wasn't.
Mhm. It is, and then being her son, her only son, right? That's a different relationship with a mother.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hollins, what you thinking?
I'm gonna tell y'all something.
Wait a minute, hold it, James. I need to ask Hollins a question.
You already-
Where you at, boo? Because you somewhere, and I need to hear about it.
Actually, I've been a couple places.
Uh-huh.
Going back to when we were talking about the exchanging of gifts.
Mhm.
And when I thought about my mother herself, declaring bankruptcy, but prior to that, I thought about the overcompensation for my father not being there.
Mhm.
We were talking about, Diane made a comment about, you be there. But the problem is, with a lot of us, a lot of our families, is they know, or at least mothers, I'm going to assume this part, mothers believe and assume that my child isn't whole because the other parent isn't there, or I'm at work all the time. I have 4 children. I can't parcel out love to each of them equally, so they overcompensate.
Mhm.
I understand what you mean by Christmas. That's not what Christmas is for. But understanding, whether it be the overall environment of the moment, and other kids will be having like experiences versus like my mother grew up in foster care from the time she was 13.
Wow.
And the vast majority of our parents do, live by the creed, I want my child to have more than me.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it's, necessarily keeping up with the Joneses. I think it's an overcompensation.
I agree.
For love and time. Like my mother used to get up at 4 something in the morning, be gone by 6. By the time I was 12, I knew how to cook full course meals.
Right.
My mother come home after 6:15, go get right in the bed and go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one who had to wake my siblings up, fix them breakfast, walk them to school, pick them up from school, help them with their homework, fix them a snack, fix them dinner.
Right.
My mother come home, give them a kiss. So she's doing her part financially,
Right.
but emotionally, and on the physical level, let's be clear, it was the bare necessity.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And then, on another note, Tony made a comment about, you could get involved with other things, and I'm someone, look, I'm human. I crave companionship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I can write my tail off and I can go volunteer and all those different things. But at the end of the day, there's a portion of me that feels unfulfilled.
Right. Understood.
Right.
So
it's a void inside of you.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, to me, everyone assumes that, just fill your life up with something.
Yeah, and no.
That's not the answer.
No,
It's not the answer, though.
It doesn't fix the void at all.
It makes it worse.
People assume that that's some kind of remedy.
Right.
That if you're hurting or if you're
No.
missing something, look, here's a space, you put something in that
Yeah.
space.
Mhm.
It doesn't work like that.
No,
makes it worse.
and we did expound on that. What I wanted to get across to her was, you do have to do something with your time besides cry.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
It's affecting your job,
Mhm.
and you have to find a way. Counseling. She talked about counseling, and I said, if you feel counseling is good for you, then you go. And she talked about, well, my generation, they don't believe in counseling, and I said, no, honey, it's not your generation. It's Black people
In
as
general.
a whole.
Right. Right.
Me, my grandparents, my uncles, my aunts. It was something that was handed down to us. We got Uncle Fester over there in the corner. He's special,
Right.
but he might have been a better person if he had gotten that.
Right. Right.
What I wanted her to understand was, you do have options. You do have, this is somebody that I don't know. So I had to pull out some things for her to help her think about some other things that she can do while she's trying to cope with the loss of that relationship, because he was putting his hands on her. And I told her the next thing is he gonna be putting hands on your child.
Believe
Right?
that.
And then you're gonna be, you know, she already had to file a restraining order. And I said, a good, you know, a toxic loss is a good loss. But
Yes.
you have to learn to be a little bit better on
Alone
yourself.
to be alone.
To be alone.
Alone to be
and
alone.
to get ready to move forward with the rest of your life. I'm not finished with her. That was just conversation number one. And it was only so, you know, it was only so much that I could give her at that particular moment. But I'm nowhere near done with her. I want her to think about her options. But I understand wholeheartedly that that doesn't necessarily, or it will necessarily fill all of the void that she may feel not having that companion.
And you know, and that's one of the, because I think that was such a big point.
Absolutely.
Is that you cannot just put something in that place and that's going to take care of it.
No.
I think that is such a huge point because people do often give the impression that if I'm just doing something, it's going to somehow make up for the fact that I want a companion or I want this kind of a relationship and I don't have it and I'm going to be okay. No. Now, what I will tell you, for me, I was just counting the numbers literally the other day, and it's been since like 2013 since I've had a relationship. But for me, what has worked is I really do have, and this is my.
You ain't called.
That's it. I'm done. I'm done. I believe it.
That's what I haven't called him.
Yes, I'm leaving.
Got you.
Call me an Uber. I'm done, y'all.
Stick a fork in it.
I'm done.
But honestly, like I realize that I am very much at peace with who I am, and I like my company. But I'm also almost 60 years old, so that's different than when you're young, right? In your 30s, 40s, or whatever. Right. And so, you know, I had a conversation yesterday with a young lady that's 23 years old who is like, I feel like I'm behind because I've never had a real relationship yet because there's certain things she's not willing to tolerate. She's 23 years old. She's graduated from college, making 80 grand a year, got her own car, got her own place, taking care of herself. So some things she's not willing to put up with, but she also grew up in an environment that wasn't very healthy, even though her parents were together. And so she's like, and I feel bad for her because it's like, what do I tell a 23-year-old? See, like I said, at my age at almost 60, listen, it's a totally different vibe. You know, I've been there, done that, right? And I also know how much work is involved in it. So when I think of a relationship per se, I don't necessarily think of the pictures for Facebook.
No.
Right? I'm thinking about all the work involved.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about.
But that's not a relationship.
Right? No, the stuff that you see on Facebook, that's just what
show.
That's the show. But for me, I'm thinking about what it actually takes. I've been married. I was married young. I was married to my son's father. It's work, and it's work every day. And a marriage is something that you have to work like a muscle. If you don't exercise your muscles, they get flabby and they don't work well. And so is a marriage. Right. And then, you know, let's bring it back to the conversation about expectations too. What do people go into a marriage expecting?
Right.
What is your version of what a marriage is? What is the role of a husband? What's the role of a wife? And if those two don't meet, and it's not to say that one person's version is the only right answer.
Because it's why it's called work. Because you got to work together.
Yes, compromise. Yes.
That's why it's called work. We're going to work together. But if you're working over here and I'm working over here, who's working right here?
And are we working toward the same thing?
Yeah.
It's colder than a well digger's ass up there.
Okay.
and do we have the same? Are we working toward the same thing? See, because that's something different. We don't even. Do we even have the same concept?
Yeah, right. Are we having the same conversation?
Thank you. Are we even having the same conversation here?
Yeah.
We talking about husband and wife. We talking about all of these things. I'm thinking, okay, so I'm expecting. Wait. Oh, okay.
Get them.
Because my thing is this: before you get to husband and wife, let's talk about being friends first.
Yeah, but see, life don't move like that no more.
Why not?
Because people don't think like that no more.
Well, you see,
That's part of the problem.
I know, but now we'll see after we done been through a lot of things, now we can say that. But we wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking like that either.
Well,
I
didn't want to commit.
Yeah.
I didn't want to commit. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, you was moving and shaking
in my bank account, telling me what I can and can't do with my.
Let me tell you something. I don't even think it was about your bank account. I think it was just your lifestyle. Period. You didn't want to. Period. You didn't want nobody telling you what to do.
I was a dog.
Yeah, you was.
I was a dog because I was hurt as a youngster. At 16 years old, I was a daddy.
Okay.
And wasn't nobody going. I think I had that mentality like 50 Cent. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do with my son.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna abuse my son.
Right.
Because I was abused as a youngster. I was raped as a youngster. So
Right.
I wasn't gonna let nobody get a hold of my baby.
Right.
You see, I'm protected with all my being. So when it came to relationships, I didn't bring women to the house.
Right.
Because that was my son's domain.
Right.
That was his safety zone.
I'm talking about.
You know, so
ever.
at 16, I had my own apartment. I had to pay my cousin to get it, but I had my own apartment. But then later on in life, I had a daughter. Now I got real crazy. I bought 2 guns. One to protect my son and one to protect my daughter. That was all it was, at any means necessary. But like you said, after a while, it got to a point to where, okay, something's missing, but am I ready to take that step? Because I can't even trust a woman to have pillow talk. Because I don't know what woman gonna run and tell the police.
Right.
I don't know what woman gonna tell this dude that I got money over here and come rob me, because that was going down back
Sure.
then. And there was a lot of things that I couldn't do that I wanted to do. Then I met one woman and she understood. We're not good. We started friends, have a relationship, but I don't know if I'm ready for a full commitment. And she understood.
You already had circumstances before all that happened. So you knew how to take the proper steps for yourself to get to where you wanted to be. But everybody else don't think like that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody don't move like that. Everybody move like, oh, he cool. I like hanging out with him. Okay. Then it goes like that.
So let me just, I'm gonna give you an example. And then I'm gonna give you an example. I wound up living with a man. And me and that man went out on a date. And he came back to my house. And he didn't leave for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Scooby.
Oh, okay, that's it. I'm trying to eat my little chicken.
That's how I met her. Fooling with that same man and her husband. Yep, that's right. Yes, but this was the thing. And at about 30 days in, I realized, wait a minute, he's living here. This was the clue. I found his shoes up under my bed. Wait a minute, hold up. We need to have a conversation. But guess what? Him living here. How did that happen? Because, but the thing was, this is how it started out. Okay, he would go home, right? He lived on the west side. No, he called me. I don't want us to. Well, come on back. Or did I call him? It's going back and forth. And like I say, about 30 days in, it's like, oh my God, you know, and we lived together for 4 years, right? But it was like we just kind of fell into a relationship. And oftentimes, especially when you're young, oh, look, Di, he's cute. He's cute. Oh, she's cute. Oh, yes. Okay.
I was young. I got married.
Oh, I know. With their last name.
But you know what's funny? Sean's last name was Williams. My last name is Williams. You know, we all girls would say stuff like, oh, I get big, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have
You was born a Williams?
Yes, ma'am. And all thing I ever said in my whole life was I would never change my name.
I was born a Williams.
Yeah, so I made him show me his ID.
Shut up.
He was like,
I didn't know you were born a Williams.
Yes, my name is Diane Denise Williams.
Okay, and married a Williams.
Yes.
And you didn't change your name. Well,
No,
you
I
told the
wasn't.
story, didn't
Yes.
you? You meant that, huh?
That's why I kept saying something wrong with this picture.
Well, guess what? For me, I wanted to change my last name. I was sick of being at the end of the alphabet. So I married a McClendon. And wound up in the middle of the alphabet. But just think about the silly silliness,
Yeah.
the trivial
Yeah.
nature
'Cause I
of
wasn't
the
ready for that.
things that you think about that wind you up in a relationship.
Because I was young. I was only 25 years old when I got married. I wasn't ready for that.
I was 19.
Yeah, I didn't.
I
know
was
nothing about,
19. I didn't
was
even
still
know
having fun.
myself
Yeah, I was
when
still
I
having
married my
fun.
husband.
Yeah,
I didn't know myself.
No, 24.
I didn't know myself.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was still having fun. I should have waited.
Well, you know what? But see, all of it goes according to the way that it's supposed to go.
It is.
The truth be told, all of it goes the way that it's supposed to go. And so I'm grateful that that I had my son young. I'm grateful that I did all of those things and got it out the way while I still had the energy to do that. Although I can see benefits on either end
Right.
of waiting. You okay? And I can't believe I don't understand why the heat. Maybe you can plug that figure out why it's not working right. Plug that remote control, because normally it gets warm in here.
Get this baby a blanket.
Right, they sitting on them. So the reality is that if we look at ourselves and understand who we are, as opposed to worrying about what other people think of us, then we don't get caught up in.
But I was mature enough to do that.
Uh-huh.
I knew what I wanted. I knew the direction I wanted to go. I was mature enough to know that much about myself. Most people are not mature enough to understand those little steps about themselves. I understood all the steps I wanted to make with me. I understood all of that. Every one I wanted to take, I did exactly how I wanted to do it. But did it work out in the plan I had? No. But
right.
I knew exactly what
But at least you knew. At least you knew, and you had given it some thought.
Yes.
Right. A lot of people don't do that. We just go along with whatever happens in life. And like I say, getting in relationships on a lot of times it's you meet somebody and you just think that everything is fine and you know because you like them.
Nice car.
Okay, right. It could be any number of things.
I know.
I know.
Because my youngest, the one that ran into my truck,
Right.
I was in a wheelchair when I met her. But I had a 6'4" Chevy with hand controls.
Well,
on switches.
and see,
So
you was looking
I'm
better
driving my
already.
phone,
You was looking better already.
And I'm sitting out in front of my car in my wheelchair with my rock closet sitting next to me.
But you gotta remember, a
And
lot
she
of
was
females
watching
like
me.
that.
Have a good night.
And walked into the
A lot of females like guys in wheelchairs.
Why?
I don't know. I have a girlfriend. I call her right now. I call her my sister. She loves guys in wheelchairs. I don't know why, but she do.
Because probably she take care of them. For me, it wasn't. I didn't want nobody to make me feel the same. That irked me for a woman to do stuff for me that I can do for myself. You know, I just it hurt me. You know, I broke up with a woman because she was like, "Well, let me take your wheelchair and put it in the back seat for you." And I said, I grabbed my chair, popped the wheels off, set it behind me, take my frame, throw it on my head in the back seat. I'm ready to go. But it made the feeling of disability. It did. It took all my manhood, you know. And I carried a big pistol to make it even because I can't walk and run.
Right.
So I got to carry equalizer.
Right.
So that was my reason for carrying a lot of guns in my car. You know, and
you
then
were dealing with women that did not understand the fragility of your ego
Right.
and respond accordingly. Because
Right.
what I would say to you is, having dated a guy that was in a wheelchair, the overcompensation. My first thing was to overcompensate.
Right.
When I overcompensated and I saw his face, I never did it again.
Right.
And I dated him for, a short period of time. But I knew instantly that I crossed that line.
Right.
And it wasn't out of anything but care and concern, but I understood that his body language told me everything that I needed to know.
Right.
And I sat on the other side of the gun.
Because I was
okay, and that was good that you were able to see it because a lot of people will miss it because oftentimes that look, that expression is fleeting. It comes and goes really quickly. And then also the fact that you had enough understanding to know what that meant, that you knew that it meant that you had crossed. So the reality is that again, you had some insight that most people don't have. and you were able to pull back in that regard, which brings me to this too, is that makes me think about the fact that oftentimes when people come home from prison, particularly when men come home from prison and women start to want, they're doing things, they consider themselves trying to help.
Yes,
Not realizing that they are
Not helping.
emasculating and not helping,
Not
and that men don't want to be told, particularly because I had somebody in the group say one time, a couple of times, the only women in my life for the past 30 years have always been telling me what to do. I don't want to come home to a woman telling me what to do.
Yeah.
Right? No matter how big or small that is. But from the woman's perspective, she's just trying to help. She's not trying to necessarily control or take charge of anything. She's just trying to help.
And
So
the man's incarceration has emasculated.
Right.
absolutely,
So it's a
absolutely,
double-edged sword.
absolutely. I want to give Michael and Kit any comments, final thoughts on the topic for tonight.
Just expectation. That's a good subject matter. That's for me. That's me thinking that I should be a certain way made me act in different ways, and like even when I just got out right now, getting into a relationship, people expecting me just to get into a relationship because I just got out. I've been gone all them years, so I should just automatically get a woman and be in a relationship, right? So that become a little pressure for me. And sometimes it be where now the first person I see, I'm finna just get into this relationship with this person because I'm expecting, I'm thinking other people is expecting me to do this, and it don't turn out right. So this is a good subject matter for me. I'm dealing with that right now.
Wow. Well, thank the lady. Thank the lady. Thank you. Kit.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Sure can.
I think that, hey, one subject that seemed to really hit me and know that we are expected to do a lot, but we are short-minded people right now, and the only thing we try to do is get a dollar. And I know now that the dollar doesn't make that much sense as it did before. And I thank the lady for bringing it up. I can't be Mr. Superman for you all the time.
Okay. Thank you. So James, any final comments from you?
This your first, second holiday. Treat it as if it's your last, and enjoy it. Live wholeheartedly. Don't wait till the holidays to give gifts. Give them all year round. Just like that saying, don't give me a rose when I'm dead. Give it to me while I'm alive.
Yeah, and don't wait to enjoy yourself either. Don't wait. Don't enjoy yourself all year long.
Every day.
I think that's so awesome. That is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. But y'all peace out, keep your head up, and breathe fresh air. It's free.
That's right. Miss Roberta.
Hi, yeah, I had a wake up call. Well, something. So this Tony's second time saying something in a child's perspective, so to speak. Thinking about my children and how they may feel about. So I now I'm beginning to understand because I did.
That's wonderful. This is
Because as much intellect that I have, I'm still learning my mother's perspective because I am a child and I did not follow in my mother's path. So our paths are so greatly different. And, I'm type A personality. So I see things constantly from my own view. And I had to learn how to see things from her view. And, the book was probably our great bumphead moment,
Mhm.
because I was so wrapped up in my own view as a child
Right.
that I was not giving my mother the empathy. I was always giving her the criticism because I was constantly in the child's view. Now being a parent, my daughter's 36, so I've been a parent a very long time. My daughter's 36 and my son is 18. I can see so much perspective from the parent of the child, the woman, the female, and now the parent of the male, and the clashes and the differences and the similarities. I have so much more empathy for my mother's perspective than I ever had. So that's why I'm here, is because you get to learn from me and I get to learn from all of you.
And let me tell you this, and that is why I do this. Like, okay, you guys don't even know, like, I'm over the moon. Like, if you could see what's the stars and stuff and shooting, all that's going around in my head right now from both both of you guys, because honestly, right, the story. Hey, wait, here you go, Tony, here you go. So now you see the star, right? But literally, because again, the goal of Free to Heal is to help each other heal, and there are so many different perspectives. And I got something for y'all, because on January the 10th, we're gonna have a former corrections officer. We're gonna interview a former corrections officer. Oh yeah, we get ready to make it deep up in here, okay? And y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. But wait, her thing to me was, okay, can I be honest? I said, you surely can. You surely can. So again, every perspective we can have, so that we all, because again, Roberta's learning things from Tony, with Tony having been the child. And the thing of it is, Tony, is that no matter how old you get, how many children you have, whenever you interact with your mother, you're still going to be the little girl. It doesn't matter how old you are. You're still going to wait until those days you wake up and go, what you say, mirror, mirror on the wall, I am my mother after all, right? When you realize how many ways you begin to act like her, but in interactions with her, you're going to always be the child. I don't care how grown you get, how much you know, how much you can help, how professional you are. None of that shit matters when you're dealing with your mama. And it's just an amazing thing. So that's awesome. Cheryl, any last comments from you, my dear?
Yes, because I wanted to say earlier when we were speaking about the mother relationship with the child that's out, that our perception and our expectation while we're incarcerated is, Lord, please don't let our mothers die, because that's who have our children. And that's how we live our lives in there, just always praying. We don't even, it's not, don't let them happen to my kids, but we always say, Lord, please don't let my mother die while I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I know, having taught in CIW for so many years, that is, it's an event. It's like Pike was saying, him having to tell his bunkie, hey, let me get through this, because it's a real thing. And so I know that that's a challenge. Mr. Pike, any last comments you want to make?
Yeah, just remember, most of these women talking are women.
Okay, so we kind of figured that, right?
No, you know what I mean.
No, we be going. What you mean?
I mean, you're soft. That's what I mean.
They supposed to be soft, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna be hard.
Keep your manhood.
Oh Lord. Okay. Mr. Hollins, any final comments for you, sir?
What I would say is expectations can be both a good.
That's true.
Thing is, they can weigh us down. They can have a tremendous negative impact upon our lives, because they can become daunting. Like she said about, I came home and I did something, then it became like, hold up.
Yeah, now you're expected to do it.
But at the end of the day, expectations can be a beautiful thing too.
Motivation.
Because, well, not just that, it's about how you can touch and impact a person's life simply by your presence.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
In and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
If you start coming over every day, and all you did was take out my trash and say hello. You know, I can come to really count on that because it warms me.
Yeah.
It brings value to my life.
Right.
You know, so expectations, you know, can be both good and bad. Sometimes it's about perception. Sometimes it's, you know, goddamn, give me a break.
Right.
You know,
Right.
expectations can go both ways, though.
Awesome. Totally awesome. Ms. Di.
All right, tonight was good. Once again, I enjoyed the conversation with everybody and I enjoyed the topic.
And thank you for bringing the topic. I want to say I enjoyed everybody, and Free to Heal, the goal here is for us to have conversations as it relates to healing from the wounds, not just from incarceration, but those wounds that led to incarceration and those things to help us move forward. We hope that you always get a tool or some little nugget or tidbit or something, some jewel you can take with you that will help you to heal from anything that you need to heal from, that you might become whole within yourself. And we thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
See you guys. See you guys. Yes, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You got us on YouTube, okay? Peace out.